Hey guys, welcome back to Coin Knowledge. So today we're going to give an update on a couple projects here with some huge and unfortunate updates for the project and their game development that we've seen over the last couple days. Kind of give you my opinion on what this means for the gaming space and if we should, again, be cautious if this is a huge red flag for gaming overall. What my opinion is towards, again, throughout the video, towards the end of the video, so stick around. But as always, if you guys get value out of the content, if you guys could like the video and subscribe to the channel. So if we look at it right now, we actually see a few projects here that have actually decided to, end development, close up shop, a few different gaming projects, which are all ones that we've covered for a while on this channel. I mean, literally, some of these have been for years, if not over a year at this point, whether we farmed the airdrop up front or we covered it, throughout its game development cycle. But we'll go over them. There's three of them here today in this video. So right now, the first one is obviously, in my opinion, the biggest one in the space right now with this kind of effect. Over the last couple days, literally yesterday, is Nyan Heroes. Again, they put out a statement here saying that it's been about 1 month since their fourth playtest. Again, this just to let you guys know and remind you guys what Nyan Heroes was. This is a gameplay of it, so it was that third-person shooter on Solana. I don't know what just happened to my computer here, but it was that third-person shooter on Solana. But again, if you guys remember, Nyan Heroes, this was a literally a top 10 wishlisted game on Epic Games for the longest time here. And this was a game that had plenty of partnerships that seemed to have strong, funding, game development, and the game just looked good, played good, had good sentiment around it. Now, you also have to realize that shooters in general are very hard to develop. There's so many shooters, so many of them, whether it's in Web 2 or Web 3. So that's a very tough, again, category of gaming to get into because you're literally betting on whether, as an example, Nyan Heroes could be that next mainstream shooter across all these other ones. And it makes sense, right? It's hard to compete, especially when we have Titans, let alone in the gaming space like Off the Grid, kind of dominating in that third person shooter. But nonetheless, it was a quality game, and I think it's caught a lot of people off guard. In full disclosure, I had a position in Nyan Heroes, and I was always pretty open about that. It was a small position, again, because given the market cap, I always let you guys know that, all these, let's just call it what it is, degen micro cap plays, don't put a huge part of your portfolio into them if you're going to allocate anything into these positions. Put a very small amount, that way if something like this does happen, because it can happen for any project, that's just the unfortunate truth. You're not down a whole lot because it's a very small percent of your portfolio. But again, when we say here, they're incredibly grateful for the positivity and support that you've shown us. But again, they said despite the game development, it looks like they are literally running into funding issues. So they couldn't secure the funding required to keep the game studio going. So it's very, again, unfortunate. I think it caught a lot of people off guard because this was a huge game. This was, in my opinion, one of the top tier games, definitely the top tier shooter on the Solana blockchain because, gaming isn't as dominant on Solana versus other chains like Avalanche and such. So when we look at Solana gaming, this was one of those games on Solana that we would always gravitate towards. I would always highlight and that I felt very strongly about. But again, this stuff happens, especially when we haven't seen gaming as a, as an alt season, as a price, momentum and a price upwards for the overall gaming space. Hasn't really been affected or hasn't really been on a run since Q1 2024. So a long time ago now at this point, but there is still, big funding going on in the gaming space. So we'll get onto that towards the end of the video, but they did go ahead and shut down and close their doors for Nyan Heroes. So this is a project, guys, that unfortunately, if you're thinking about buying it or if you have a position, this project is done here. They did shut down. So if you are wondering, looking at, your position here and you saw it just literally keep going down non-stop, that is why. I mean, this token literally went live a year ago now, almost to the date a year ago. And this launched at 30 million and it just kept going down non-stop. So that is what is going on with Nyan Heroes. Again, unfortunate. I was a big fan of them, but we move on. It's not the only project. It's just one that is sad to see go, but that is a first project. May 16th, they put this out, so literally a day ago at the time of recording this video. So Nyan Heroes is the first one. The second one is Blast Royale, which first of all, price action aside, I've also been very open to you guys that, I thought how they launched, this is one that you could have farmed the airdrop on initially. It wasn't that lucrative depending on how much you played, but how they launched, again, could have been a little bit better here. They had not a lot of circulating supply, but this is another one. This was a hyped launch in the mobile gaming space when we look at Blast Royale here. If you get the gameplay of it a little bit, I still have it on my phone. I still used to play it occasionally. It was a top-down, again, shooter. Pretty fun. Just a simple, very easy, game to play, actually, free to play. It was actually pretty addicting a little bit, but they put out their news also for their project here. Again, May 16th, so literally the same day as, as Nyan Heroes. So they say it's with a heavy heart that they are, confirming the news about Blast Royale's closure. So they are closing Blast Royale. The game's officially going to close on the 30th of June this year, 2025. So about a month and a half from now. Now, they have decided to technically not completely just delete it and, get rid of it, but they are going to make it open source starting from June 1st. So hopefully we can see somebody else pick up the game, pick up development, and do something with it, because it is a good game. It is fun. At the end of the day, if you've played Blast Royale, if you're into that kind of game, it's an easy, kind of mindless shooter game. It reminds me a lot of Thetan Arena from the last cycle, which did really well. So as a project, as a game, I liked Blast Royale. I still think it's a pretty fun game. Again, a lot of similarities between that and Thetan Arena, again, from the last cycle, which I think is now Thetan World. But so that's their development too, which is, unfortunate, but they're going to be unlocking all remaining noob tokens and ensuring distribution is complete. And they're going to keep it tradable as well on Aerodrome. But as far as game development, it is closing on the 30th. But again, going open source, I do like that. So at least they have the opportunity to maybe pass on the mantle to another studio, another dev. If somebody wants to pick this up, we'll see what happens there. If something does happen, I'll let you guys know, because this is, again, from a game standpoint, a project that I really do like, because I think it is just a fun mobile game. But that's another one, again, here on the same day that looked quality. They'd been building for a while. This one that we talked about quite a bit here on the channel, obviously. But now we see their price is essentially zero, and they're literally closing the game right now. But is it the end? Technically not. Technically, again, the open source, somebody could pick it up, but just another game. We have Nyan Heroes, we have Blast Royale literally closing their doors, and with that announcement same day. Now, the last one is Rumblecong League with their Fame token. Now, there hasn't been an official on their Twitter or their socials closure for the game development, but they have been silent for a very long time here. Now, we do see, KG here, a huge proponent for, Rumblecong League as well, and a few others, obviously, on, in the space, saying that another game dies. Rumblecong was honestly a good game, but they didn't care for their Fame token launch. And that is, I would agree with that. Again, that was a huge moonshot you could have taken there. They launched at like 300K market cap as well, which is crazy, because they have been building since, 2021, since the last cycle here. They did really well with their NFTs. The quality of the project looked pretty solid here. I was having issues with, loading the website here earlier. I'll try again, see if it loads. Looks like it's not going to load for me, so it doesn't look good for the project. But, this is another one that, there's a lot of talks and speculation here saying that, Rumblecong League is done with. But again, nothing official here. As far as I can tell, if you look at their Twitter, they've just been silent for the longest time. Their Fame token Twitter is essentially, gone. It's radio silent. They don't put out any updates really at all. But if you look at the game looked, again, nothing triple A, but it did look solid. And again, the fact that they had pretty good partnerships. They had, again, quality gameplay, game loop. They had all the hype they've been building for years. So that's 2 confirmed games, and I would put Rumblecong League right there, just given the sentiment, given the update, giving no updates or rebuttal from the team or from their socials as well to all the talk going on in the space for Rumblecong League. Again, these are 3 projects that we've talked about on the channel, but again, these are also 3 micro caps, Fame and Blast Royale. I never, personally bought them on the open market. Blast Royale was more of the airdrop play, and Fame was really just a moonshot if you wanted to take a shot at that. Nyan Heroes, I did have a position in. So, full disclosure, obviously, like everyone who had a position in Nyan Heroes, I did obviously take a loss there, but it was a small position compared to my overall portfolio because given the market cap size, even though I was always a fan of Nyan Heroes, you guys have to realize, the moral of the story here is that it's unfortunate to see these games, close their doors and shut down because this can happen to any project here. I mean, we've seen games, bigger in market cap in the past over the last several years. We've seen different projects close their doors, end funding, whatever the reasons are, or just go radio silent and just end development. Or we see projects like, again, Nyan Heroes that had all the hype in the world going for them for their first year, and then they just have to close their doors because they didn't secure the funding. This could happen to any gaming project, really any project in any space. That's why I always tell you guys, don't get married to your positions, don't get married to your bags, don't go all in on one specific project here. Just because a project is at $100 million market cap or $10 million market cap, it does not mean any of this stuff is safe. So again, realize the game you're playing in here, especially when we get down to these low market caps, 10 million and beneath, you're literally high on the risk curve. But when gaming does swing back around, which again, I get that question sometimes, I still have full belief that gaming is going to run extremely hard and catch a lot of people off guard. But this is definitely hurting the sentiment in the gaming space right now, having these 3 games, close their doors. Now, these aren't the biggest titles in the space. I think if something obviously like an Off the Grid or Maple Story or something like that was to close their doors, we would really be struggling on the gaming front. But nonetheless, these are still projects that, had some hype around them that were fun to play. And Nyan Heroes, out of all 3 of them, in my opinion, is the biggest loss, today with all these news of game closures and, development ending. So either way, I still think gaming is still a prime sector to run this cycle. Hopefully this year, again, we see a lot of updates and momentum with Off the Grid here recently. So that's another video coming out here soon. But either way, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you were affected by any of these tokens, the Fame token, Noob token, or the Nyan token as well. And again, if you bought, Nyan Heroes, if you went all in on it, I'm sorry to hear so, but please take it. If you did get caught in this, like myself, please take it as a lesson. If you did go all in, if you put too much and got overexposed, to just take profits when you're up and also just risk manage correctly in your portfolio. So either way, that's some update with a couple projects here that have closed their doors with their announcements here in the gaming space. Let me know in the comments below if you guys were affected, if there's other projects you want, development updates on that we haven't talked about in a while, or any other questions you have, comment them below. I'll try to answer all you guys' comments. And otherwise, if you guys got value out of the video, if you guys could like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, see you guys.